a release manager, what you've learned now will be helpful. But as a delivery manager, except in a small organization, it wouldn't be your responsibility to create the release notes. I hope you understand what I'm saying. In many cases, it would be maybe the release manager or maybe the tech lead or some other people, but it's a very good thing that you've learned how to do it. Not only that, it would also help you. What you've learned now would help you to also have an overview of what the team is doing. But because some of you would actually be working in the capacity of a delivery manager / scrum master, this would be a very good knowledge for you, because then you would be able to give a succinct view of what your team has done, especially if you are giving things to your stakeholders. Many times, stakeholders may not be asking you for details of, after you've concluded your sprint, when you want to go live, they wouldn't be asking you for details of what story you've done, because all of those will be there and you would have given it before. But when we talk of release notes, it's a good thing that we have some of these things, especially on the high level, to be able to capture the features that you've worked on and the stories that you've delivered to do those things. The steps that you've been taking through now, I want to believe, just as you said, if you go back to it again, it will be simple if you walk through it, maybe with your mentors or your buddies. It should be easy. And if it's not clear, then feel free to call back again. All right? But that's really good. What you've learned, it's really good, and it would help all of you to be able to understand what you've done or what your team has done. Okay?
I know how to create queries in Azure DevOps if anyone needs help. So that's just an extra.
Fantastic. Yeah. Azure DevOps is very, to be honest, is highly user-friendly. It's better than Jira when it comes to easy as absorptions. It's really it's easy for people to be able to relate with in the context of that. So you've heard what Kemi said now, guys. She knows how to create queries in Azure DevOps. So you guys should feel free to reach out to her if any of you needs any help regarding that. Okay. All right. So for tonight, I said that I would like you guys to learn a little bit about SAFe. Have you read up about it? This is your last week, isn't it? Allow me. Hello, guys. You're not talking. This is your last week, right, of training?
Second to the last.
Second to the last. Okay. All right. So I want to run through SAFe with you. I believe you all know about SAFe, right?
Heard about it. I think you mentioned it during one of our sessions as well.
Okay. Apart from mentioning it, you guys have, so you've not read about it at all? You've not read about it at all. Talk to me.
I haven't.
Okay. Has anybody read through that? All right.
Just a little bit, Femi, that I've been able to read about SAFe.
Okay. The reason it's good for you to know about SAFe is because SAFe is very popular now, right? It's very popular within organizations, and you find out that many times when you want to go for a role, they'll be asking for somebody that has experience of SAFE. What does SAFE stand for? Can anybody tell me?
Yeah.
Scaled
Scaled
Agile
agile
framework.
framework.
What?
Scaled agile framework.
Something is missing. What do you think is missing? Can anybody tell me what's missing? Talk to me, guys. What's missing in what she said now?
I'm not sure what's missing. She said it's scaled agile framework.
Yes, something is missing.
The registered trademark.
No. You tried. When I laugh or smile, some of you would think maybe I'm not making fun of you. It's good you've said what you said, but it's not to make fun of you, but it's just to. All right. When we say safe, there is an E at the back of it. It's not just scaled agile framework. It's scaled agile framework enterprise. Does that make sense? And there's a reason why the enterprise is there. Do I make sense to you? So it's something, the latest version that SAFE has got is the 6.0. All right. They've started a while ago. They've gotten it to 4 point something, 4.1. Then they've taken it to 5.0, 5. Now they're on 6.0. All right. And it's something you just need to have an idea of. You might need it for your next role. Even if you don't need it for the next one, you might need it for the one after the next. But it will be good for you to familiarize yourself with SAFE. Okay? Can you see my screen? Can everybody see my screen?
Not yet.
Okay, just give me a minute. Can you see my screen now?
Yes, we can.
Okay. So when we talk about this is SAFE framework in the context of it. It would be good for you to go on Google and read up about this. When you click any of them, it gives you it will explain details of what is there for you. The visualization of the 7 core competencies of business agility and the dimension of each of them. That's what you will find on the overview. And if you click any of it, it will explain. Can you see what happened now? When I click that, could you see what happened?
Yes.
Hello?
Yes,
All right.
please.
So it will tell you about the enterprise solution delivery, lean portfolio management. It will tell you about all of the other things that you have under it, like the agile product delivery, organizational agility, continuous learning, lean agile leadership, then team and technical agility. These are the 7 core things of, the business agility of SAFE. Now, there are different, like I said to you, SAFE is broken down. Like many people, when they talk about SAFE, they say, SAFE is too big, it's too big. No, 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 no. With SAFE, you can actually, there are various levels of it. You could use the essential, you could use the large solution, you could use the portfolio, and you could use the full configuration of SAFE. So when you talk of the essential, this is what you find in the essential of SAFE. Can you see that?
Yes, please.
So with the essential, you find, see, the reason you find many people using SAFE now is because SAFE brings the visibility from portfolio level to team level and going back into it. SAFE is the framework that allows every part of the IT team to be able to come together at least every quarter to plan together. When you are doing what we call, there's something that is very critical in SAFE, and that's what we call PI planning. You know what PI planning is, right? Do we know what PI planning means?
Product items planning.
Pardon?
I said product items planning.
No, you've tried. That's not it. When we say PI planning, we mean program increment planning. And we call it program increment because it brings everyone, including the stakeholders, your senior stakeholders, the leadership, they come to the meeting. It's something, it's an activity that takes place over 2 days. I hope you guys are noting what I'm saying, especially if you go for an interview and they ask you, oh, have you done SAFE before? I don't want you to say, no, I don't know it. There's something that is very critical with SAFE. That thing is a PI planning. It's an activity that is carried out over 2 days minimum. We don't recommend it to go more than 2 days, but in some context, if people have not done their homework properly, it might shoot to 2.5 days. I've seen some plans that have gone to 3 days. And some people would say, you know what, we don't need the 2 days. Let's just do something small in 1 day, depending on the size of the program. But normally, SAFE or the PI planning is usually done over 2 days. And what would happen, you will find the developers, the product owner, the product manager, business, the scrum master, everybody would come together under the same roof. We'll sit together, we do planning. Planning for what? Planning for the next quarter. Some other people will call it big room planning. Some other people would look for a name. I know that JLR didn't want to use the word program increment. They were planning, they were using a framework that had no name. I don't know what they do now, but they were calling it big room planning or something like that. But it's all evolved from SAFE. And in SAFE, we call it program increment planning, PI planning. So that's where the team would meet. Normally, as a scrum master, as a delivery manager, you would have met with your product owner to give you the features, to say, what are the 10 most critical features that you would want the team to work on for the next quarter? That's for the next 3 months. Does that make sense? And that would drive the product vision. For us to know that, okay, he has a product vision. This is the vision he had. That's one of the reasons you see that when that is done, you remember all the steps that we said should be taken, the persona definition and things like that. That is usually done. From there, the act of the vision would have been driven out, and then we have features coming out from there. So your product owner should be able to produce the features, like the 10 critical features. And with the support of the team, with the support of the technical team, you guys would then, at the PI planning, you'll be able to come up with plans for the next 5 iterations or sprints. Now, SAFE does not use sprint. iteration that you heard the other time is a terminology from SAFe. Rather than using sprint, SAFe would say iteration. Am I making sense to you? I want to be sure I'm not just talking to myself.
Yes, I'm understanding you.
Okay, thank you for that. Is everybody also getting it?
So sorry,
Yes.
could you just repeat that? That SAFe would say,
SAFe will what?
sorry, I was asking you to please repeat what you said, that SAFe uses, you said SAFe uses iteration, is that right? Rather than sprint.
Exactly.
Right.
In SAFe, you won't hear, oh, sprint 1, sprint 2. No, you will hear iteration 1, iteration 2, iteration 3. They won't use iteration, they won't use sprints in SAFe. They call it iterations. All right?
Yeah.
Yes.
So there are different names that you'll find there. You see, when we talk, if you look at what I have here, you see we call art flow. Do you know what that means? Art. Do you know what art flow means?
No.
Art stands for Agile Release Train. Okay?
Okay.
In
Agile
Agile Release Train. In Agile Release Train, you are allowed to have maximum 125 people. Once it goes beyond that, SAFe recommends that you start another release train. The way SAFe works, we work in the context of looking at it as a train. In a train, you have various cabins, isn't it? And they could be doing various things. So if you look at these, what SAFe is particular about is continuous delivery, creating a continuous delivery pipeline, where you have continuous exploration, continuous integration, and continuous deployment. Exploration, integration, deployment. SAFe is one of the things that we learned. You remember, we learned this when we did, I taught you SAFe under the umbrella, or you forgotten it? Do you guys remember? You remember this?
Yeah.
Yes.
So when we talk about lightweight approaches, you find Scrum, Lean, Kanban. But when we talk of the fuller approaches that is beyond one team, that's where you find Scrum of Scrums. That's what you find Scrum at scale. That's where you find what we call large scale Scrum, which we call less. That's another framework in itself. Then you find SAFe. Less has its own framework. SAFe has its own framework. You also find DAD, which is discipline agile delivery. All right? You do well to just go and read up on some of this. But of most of these, less SAFe is the most popular in the fuller one, apart from Scrum of Scrums. You know that Scrum of Scrums, whatever you do, you find Scrum of Scrums within organization. What does that mean when we say we have Scrum of Scrums? What does it mean, guys?
So that happens where you have multiple Scrum teams and you have sort of like an overarching meeting, one at the top, where the different Scrums come together to either plan or lift impediments and things like that, or plan their dependencies and things. So that's a Scrum of Scrum, I think.
Okay. So well done. You've tried. That's it. So we come together, representatives from each team. You don't bring out all the teams. We just need the representative, which could be the Scrum Master. And the Scrum Master might decide to go with the tech lead or with the testman or whoever it is within the team that can represent the team to give overview of what is happening within the team to either the delivery manager or the delivery lead. Does that make sense?
Yes, it
Yeah.
does.
Yeah.
So in the Scrum of Scrums, we bring different teams together within the program to give us updates where they are. But apart from the teams, we also have other aspects within the program that may not be a development team. Give me an example. Who are those? Who could be? What team do you think would also need to be in our Scrum of Scrums that may not be a particular development team by themselves?
Business analyst.
No. Well done, you've tried, but no. Business analyst, like I said, please don't forget, business analyst is not, or is not a, how do I say? It is not, when we talk of the critical roles in Scrum, business analyst role is not one. Business analyst role is a supporting role in Scrum. You remember we said that?
Yeah.
Do you know why? Do you know why?
Not sure. No.
Okay. The reason is because we have the product owner. The product owner is equipped, should be equipped to be able to raise user stories, to raise features, especially, and then to be able to provide everything that is needed for the team to support him to raise user stories for whatever feature they're working on. But in places where either the product owner is not experienced enough in Agile to be able to do analysis or to be able to write user stories, we get business analysts to support them. Or in some cases where the product owner is sitting across multiple teams, like 2, 3, 4 teams, then it needs a business analyst as a proxy on a team. The business analyst meets with him because the product owner has the final say. So the business analyst is not really a team sitting outside. It's a supportive role. Does that make sense, Isaac? So when we look at a team when we look at people that might not be part of the team, like DevOps, I'm sure you've all heard of DevOps, right?
Yeah.
If you look at what I'm sharing here, can you see DevOps here?
Yeah.
We have the DevOps team. All right. So sometimes, apart from the DevOps team, you could have a release team, release management team. And that's what we were talking about. That's what I was trying to mention to you the other time. You also have some teams that we call the support team. Those are the people that will support when you have released a product to live and your team is finished. They are the ones that will be fixing things that may happen in live. That's another team you need to carry along. Things like that. Okay? Not just to bore you, because I don't want to give, I think I'm giving you too much information now, right? If it's too much, let me know so that I'll stop it. All right? But if you look at what we have here, you see you have the vision up there, you have roadmap created, and then you have the team that will do it. Okay? So some of the roles that I said, when you have the business owner, you have the product management team. You remember we've spoken about product manager. You have the system architect. Then you have the RTE. Who is RTE?
Release train engineer.
Exactly. Release train engineer is a role that you find in SAFe. Once you hear RTE, that means that program is using safe framework. And you could find others that would not be, you could find, other roles that are not just RT. There are many of them. We'll touch on it now. Then you find a product owner here, and you find a team. So if you go to the large solution, that's larger, that's bigger than this. Can you see the large solution here, guys?
Yeah.
So from the large solution, you'll see that it's not just the business owner. We have people above the business owner. Can you see that? You have the enterprise, you have government, you have the solution management, you have the solution architect, and you have the STE. Do you know what that means? STE?
Solution training engineer.
Yes. All right. And that's when you now get to the business owners and yada, 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 things like that. Then from there, you could have the portfolio one, which is much fuller. Could you see the portfolio here? On portfolio, you have the operational value stream. So I don't want to go into the in-depth of teaching you SAFe. I just want you to have a knowledge of it for you to be aware that there is something called SAFe. It's a framework. It's a large framework. And honestly, it's gaining popularity. If you're a delivery manager, it's important you just read up into it, look into it. Some of you might have done some certification in SAFe, like Safe Scrum Master, Advanced Scrum Master, and things like that. Excuse me. But it's important that you just familiarize yourself with it, okay?
Yeah.
Then you have the full configuration here. All right, guys?
So, Femi, could you just touch on the difference between the large solution and portfolio? Because I noticed that when you clicked on the large, it says enterprise. Portfolio is organization wide. So it's
So
like building up, isn't it? But what's the switch between large and portfolio?
if you look at the large solution, you will see that yes, they have but there is no value stream created there. Could you see this? If I go here, can you see value stream?
Oh,
Can you
okay.
see operational value streams?
Okay.
And then here you have the epic owners, you have the enterprise architect. Okay?
Okay.
So some of the things cuts across, to be honest, is not a rocket science. If you take time to read it, if you take time to study, it will come alive to you. And then you'll be able to then ask questions. I just want you to, familiarize yourself with it. So in SAFe, it's easy. One of the reasons organizations also like to use SAFe is because it provides easy opportunity for dependency mapping. With this, you are able to know what team is doing what, when they are going to do it. And when you now meet for your quarterly meeting, as I said, you are able to say, oh, we're planning to release XYZ at so time, but we have dependency on this team. And that team will be able to tell you if what you need will be ready or if it's not going to be ready. But it helps all of you to be able to work together as a team. That's what SAFe does. It brings that visibility across the portfolio. All right?
Okay, so Femi, I've got a question.
Go for it.
So as a delivery manager, the work that we would do if we had a safe, if they're using a framework, will that be different to the sort of responsibilities that would have on just a regular team that are just using Scrum?
It wouldn't be different. That's a good question. It wouldn't be different, but it would just mean that your plan is quarterly based and your delivery are quarterly based. Results will be based on features. And you want to facilitate ensuring that the vision is clear, the roadmap is created to be able to achieve that. What you see, one of the difference you see between lab solution and portfolio is the fact that in portfolio, you begin to talk of OKR, objective key results. When we talk of vision, we want to have OKRs with it. Then we develop the roadmap with it. Do you understand what I'm saying? Huh? And some other things begin to play into it. But your role is still your role. You still need to be able to plan for the people that will do the work. But bringing everybody together under the same roof helps you as a delivery manager to be able to quickly identify the bottlenecks that may occur or what could be an hindrance to the team fulfilling what they are supposed to fulfill. Does that make sense? I'll give you an example. When I was at HSBC, because we were doing SAFE, there was one of the important things that we were working on, API creation, API integration, and things like that. Because we had 3 layers, like PAPI, SAPI, HAPI, things like that. And as one of the teams, as I was planning with my team to say, yeah, we need to deliver XYZ API at this time, at this time, at this time. By the time we got to the 3rd sprint, when I was given details of what my team will be working on the 3rd sprint, and I map out the dependency with another team, that team quickly shouted out to say, Femi, we cannot get that for you at that time. And I said, why? And they said, it's not possible. And I said, but we talked about it. They said, well, we've looked through it. It won't be possible. And then I made everybody know that that's a blocker for me. Then it means my team can't move forward. And everybody started to call everybody around. Everybody started, okay, how can we then? We had to call the group layers, who are based in Hong Kong to say, guys, would you be able to help? Would you be able to support? This team is going to be hooked at so time. Can you? And it was until they confirmed that I said, well, we can move forward now. Does that make sense? Otherwise, the priority would have to change. And that's the good thing about it. Okay? So it's the best thing about you having the safe, you having that configuration. It really helps you to be able to build that and be able to. Does that make sense now, guys?
Yeah. Yes, it does.
Huh?
It does.
Okay. Kemi, Chioma, Isaac, everybody, Loretta, does this make sense to you all?
Yes, it does. Yes, it does.
Any question?
There's a question in the chat. I think it was Moyo. Let's put it in. What's the difference between system architect and solution architect?
So
Okay,
I think I've been able to get the answer to that when he showed portfolio. However, I have another question,
Okay.
which is regarding using usage of SAFe, right? How big or how small will a project be to be able to use SAFe? And if you can just give an example. So I'm thinking developing an insurtech platform that can run end-to-end insurance operations. So I'm looking at which of course combines like up to like 5-6 operational functions. I'm thinking, okay, will Scrum be ideal or Safe be ideal for this? So how large a project has to be for it to be for Safe to be an ideal methodology to use?
Femi, are you speaking? We can't hear you if you're speaking. I don't...
Oh, sorry. Sorry. I was talking muted. Sorry. I know this voice, Moyo, but you are not part of the team though. Moyo, are you?
I'm a backbencher.
Okay. Okay. No problem. Now, good question. All right. Very good question. SAFE is a framework that can be adapted. It's adaptive. You can use it to suit your environment if you want to. But because many times people don't see that, people think if you want to use SAFE, you must have all the roles in SAFE. That's not true. You can adapt it to suit your environment. Nonetheless, for you to be able to say you are practicing SAFE, it's got to be that you have what we call ART, Agile Release Train. And in an Agile Release Train, as I said, how many people do we require?
125.
That's the maximum. You could start from 50. But the maximum you can have is 125. So if you know that you have a team whereby you have as many as 50, 55, 60, up to 125, nothing stops you from practicing SAFE. But if it's a small team, the reason you want to practice SAFE, Moyo, can you still hear me?
Yes, I can.
The reason you want to practice SAFE is because of the dependency mapping that makes easy with SAFE. Don't forget, I said one key thing in SAFE is what? PI planning. That's one of the major activities of SAFE. And the reason we do PI planning is not just for one team to say we're doing PI planning. One team does not require PI planning. You just need to be able to plan yourself more effectively by using Scrum. But when you have dependencies, when you have 2, 3, 4, 5 teams that you have dependency on, then it might be best for you to have the element of SAFE in what you're doing. SAFE will tell you themselves that they will prefer you to just use SAFE, not to adapt it, because they want money. All right? But you as an intelligent delivery manager will be the one to know, okay, let me just try and maneuver this and make this adaptive for my team so that it becomes suitable for it. Moyo, if you have just one team or just 2 teams, there is no need calling it SAFE because you can easily iron out dependencies. But when you are in a program where you have 1, 2, 3, especially you have, let's say where you have the security team, when you have the network team, when you have different players into what you do, then using elements of SAFE might be very helpful for you. Did that answer your question?
Very well, it did. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Any other question? Any other question, guys? Excuse me. You guys are not talking. So I take it that everything is very clear. I don't need to stress myself anymore, right? You guys are good.
We're taking it in. We're taking it in.
You're taking it in. Okay, keep
Yeah.
taking it in. Keep taking it in. All right.
Yeah.
I'm sure you all remember all of this that I've said to you when we talk of these are part of what you find in SAVE, the element of design thinking before your team would even go into saying we're doing this. And these are things you find on the discovery phase that I was talking about the other time. And then that takes you into the persona definition that we spoke about. From persona definition, we gave the example. These are just to sum up what you need to do at those stages. And these are things that SAFE brings to life to you. Okay? All right, guys?
Yeah.
So with that, what I would want to remind you of again is this dependency mapping that we were talking about. You remember this is just a sample. I've just drawn this just for an example for you to see. You could have different teams like this. Can you see this? You have DevOps team, you have integration, VDI, you have, and I just give an example to say, let's say you want to do wedding planning. Let's remove the one at the top because those ones might be too much for you to deal with. But if you have wedding planning, you have venue team, decoration team, logistics team, catering, entertainment, outfits, all of these, you would have dependencies among them, isn't it?
Yeah.
And you remember we did SF, FF, FS, SS. You all remember that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's your SF?
Start to finish.
FF?
Finish to finish.
FS?
To start and start.
SS? So
Start.
these are some of the things that you want to put into perspective. Look at it. We've created various iterations. Look at it. This is one iteration. This is just an example. Let's say 15 from 15th to the 27th of December. And we have another one that is maybe 28th to the 13th of January. And then we have January 2024, and we have another one that is 14th of January to the 27th of January 2024. These are iterations, but these are various teams that are working. We've seen that over the next 3 sprints, these are things I want to, for example, people doing venue, they want to be sure some things would have happened. But if we're going to work in the environment of IT, then you're talking of the API team, the DevOps teams, they might tell you, oh, we work on API 3, API 4, API 12 or 14, whatever it is, or API 2. And then the integration team might say, oh, we're working on just an example, all right? When they need their work, for example, if this API needs to be ready for these people to do this work here, then that API must have been done in sprint 1. Otherwise, they can't do anything here. Can you see? That's why I said user interface, they need API 3 for them to be able to develop this here. But if API 3 would be done in this iteration 2, then it means they can't work because that API must be ready for them to build on it when they get to this iteration 2. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah.
Yes.
That's the reason we do this mapping. Okay? As a delivery manager, it's important for you to understand your dependency mapping. It's critical. So and that's why I was telling you the other time that when we talk about dependencies, it's not just the dependency within your team only, where people talk of one story must finish before another story. No. That's not the one. That's important, but that's not the one I'm talking about now. I'm talking of the external dependency. And you cannot have dependency over yourself when you are doing this. A team cannot have dependency over itself. You have dependency over another team. That's why you see some of the arrows that you see that I've pointed here. The arrow must be pointing from one to the other to say, this team is dependent on you for this. Oh, that team is dependent on you for this. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, I think there's so much information that I've given tonight. I want you to go back and digest it and read it properly. If you have questions, then get back to me. All right?
Okay.
Can we call it a night?
Yeah.
That's fine.
All right. I don't want anybody's brain to burst. Don't forget. But honestly, you guys have learned a lot. What I want you to do is to go through everything that you've done so far over this last 3 months. Everything that you've learned, look through it. Make sure that you are able to digest it. If any of it is not clear, then let me know. All right?
Okay,
But
great.
your journey has just started. Your learning journey has just begun. Okay?
Okay.
Have a good night. Bye.
Thank you, Femi.
You're welcome. Have a good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Femi,
Have a
can you
good
stop
evening.
recording? Thank